you talked about the acceleration of innovation. So is it really accelerating, or is it an impression that it's accelerating? And is it at its full speed yet, or do you think it's even going to get, faster?
So it's accelerating well beyond Darwinian rates. We can't compete. We can't, they used to do the thing that in the 1920s, was the last time one person could know everything that was known about math. Okay. Nowadays, no one knows everything about anything. It is changing so quickly, and the opportunities and the rate of disruption. When you look about the Internet of Things, when you look about wearables, when you look about all these new fields, the whole medical industry completely will be changed. Nowadays, you go and you have a heart attack, or you think you have a heart attack, they hook you up to a machine, and they say, yes, you had a heart attack. With us all wearing wearables that measure our resting heart rate and our activity level and everything, in the not too distant future, and again, the big data is they're looking at the sleep patterns and exercise patterns and weight patterns of tens of millions of us. So they can say, Jay, of 55-year-old men that eat and sleep like you do, you have a 96% chance of having a heart attack within the next 90 days.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yep.
Everything we do in medical today is after the horse has left the barn, okay? Here's a pill because you now have diabetes. Here's a pill because you now have blood pressure. Here's this thing, What if your doctor could tell you with absolute certainty, you could have a heart attack, you will have a heart attack, based on everybody else in society that's like you're going to have a heart attack in the next 2 months. Or you can change what you're doing today. That's the pace of innovation. Now, the problem with big companies is big companies are like generals fighting the last war. When I was at the top of Sony saw their competition as Panasonic and Sharp and all the other manufacturers in Japan. They didn't see Apple or Microsoft or Google. They weren't in their business. So that's the opportunity for the entrepreneur. The big dinosaurs are so busy focusing and fighting and competing for market share with the big dinosaur, they don't notice the little mammals that have evolved and are more adaptable and quicker. And the other thing, which you don't recognize until you've been a CEO of a public company, as I have or whatever, that big companies are so focused on, I got to hit my numbers for the street for the next 90 days, They're literally, because the life expectancy of a CEO or a CMO, is under 4 years. So you don't have a lot of long-term planning going on. So the opportunity there is a CEO would rather overpay to buy that startup and take the risk of losing money for 1 quarter or 3 quarters or 5 quarters to create something themselves. That's why they'll go out and spend $1 billion on an Oculus Rift or an Instagram or billions on a WhatsApp. The guy who created WhatsApp applied for a job at Facebook and was turned down. A couple years later, Zuckerberg paid him $17 billion for his idea. Okay? He would have given it to them for free as an employee. So the rate of acceleration is both frightening for existing business, but the other thing is, look at your world right now. The infrastructure's there, social media is there, everyone has a smart connected device, and we're getting more connected to an always on. The cost of starting a business is 95% cheaper than it was a decade ago. And you say, well, wait a second, why are these big companies then, these startups, these unicorns raising hundreds of millions of dollars before they go public if it's so cheap? What they're doing is we're entering a world where the smart capital is saying, we can put enough capital behind one company that it becomes winner take all. So Lyft might have a good business model, or somebody else might have a better business model, but if Uber has a war chest of $1 billion to spend, no one's going to fund a competitor. So you get out there, you prove your model, prove it locally. I use an expression called SOLO-MO, social, local, mobile. Prove your thing in one town, one city, whatever, and once you can prove what your customer acquisition cost is and how it scales, you can go out to endless sources. Last year, $40 billion went into startups. You can get this money to scale. And when you take that money, whether you need it or not, it is basically a flag in the sand that says, this turf is yours, because who else would be crazy enough to put their capital to go against you? So it's the greatest time. The other question I get from entrepreneurs is, is now a good time to start your business? And the answer is no. A year ago was the best time to start your business. Now is the second best time.
Excellent.